Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
We've had our VW T6 van for over 6.5 years, and when we got it as a project that should last us until we retire at the age of 55. So we've only got 2 years left, and we thought it was about time we started just having a look what's out there for us to get our new van.
So as Jackie says, we've had Nelson for just over 6 years now, and we have had just such an amazing time with him, and he has taken us to places that we just could never really believe we'd have gone.
We've absolutely loved our journeys. We have been on 6-week trips in Europe in him. We have been on 2-week escapes up to Scottish Islands, and even more recently we had a 4-week trip into the French Alps in the very cold weather, and he's been fantastic.
So it feels like we sort of betraying him a little bit, because we do absolutely love the T6, and the T6 has fulfilled our needs for our ages right up to 55. But our next van is going to be a 10-year project, and that's obviously going to take us through to the age of 65, and we figure our needs are going to be slightly different at 65. So we've started giving it a little bit of thought.
So in this video, we just wanted to have a chat about the things that we absolutely love about Nelson, the T6 Campervan.
We want to go through some of the things that we absolutely want in our new van.
And then maybe have a chat about some of the things that we found out from the NEC and some of the ideas that we're formulating for what we do want in our new van.
The one thing that we absolutely love about Nelson is his size. He is just a little bit bigger than an average family-sized car, so we can take him anywhere. So we are not restricted to the widths of roads. We can choose to park him wherever we want, and with him being a small van as well, he is mega efficient on the fuel. So we can get well over 500 miles from a tank of diesel, so it's a bit of a winner, his super small size.
And for most of the year, it doesn't matter to us that he's small, because once we open these doors, we've got the wide open space that we can use. We tend to barbecue outside, just get the picnic tables and chairs out, and we can just make do with all of that space. It's only the occasional times, midwinter, when it's chucking it down, that we feel that lack of space.
So one of the things that we absolutely want to retain in our next van is a really good solar system, and also a really good battery bank that will power a 12-volt system that will keep us off-grid for as long as we want to be off-grid.
He's lovely, small and compact, and as long as we're organised, there is a space for everything in this van, and I love that when I get my bed out, he is really, really comfortable to live in.
We like to think when we designed Nelson, he was a little bit before his time, and we had an underslung gas tank installed, which means that we can refill him with LPG from garage forecourts. That's becoming a bit more of an issue, but we love the flexibility that it offers us. We've got an external barbecue point, which means that we can barbecue all summer and really, really quickly and cleanly. And it also gives us a really economical way to heat up the van. We love our LPG heater. Nelson's a tiny van, and we only have to put the heater on for 5 minutes. So in a new van, we need to find a way that is similarly economical.
We bought him as a T6 Combi, and we had him converted ourselves, which was amazing because we could choose what we wanted to go in the van. We wanted him to just be clean and sleek, and he has been everything that we wanted from our van.
The main thing that we want from our new van is just really simple. It's the ability to stand up inside the van. In the summer, when we've got the pop top up, it's so easy to live in Nelson, but in winter, when the pop top's down, it's really tight for space, and we just simply want to be able to stand up.
When we first had Nelson converted 6 years ago, one of the conscious decisions that we didn't want was any onboard facilities, and actually for most parts that's still true. We don't want to be emptying toilets out, but we have found in the last couple of years, while we've been retired and we're travelling more extensively in Europe, that we are limited a little bit to the amount of airs that we can use. We found some amazing places, but we just can't stay because you need onboard facilities. So in our new van, we do want a toilet, Jury's still out on a shower, but most of them come with that, but still probably won't use it.
One of the things I'm really desperate for in a new van is a bit more garage space, because at the moment in a VW T6 you've got this little space just under the rock and roll bed which holds nothing, and we have got so much stuff that we could store under there. I think I'm being a bit optimistic in being able to get bikes into the garage of a new van, but certainly I want to be able to get all the other stuff stowed safely away inside the van.
I love Richard dearly, but sometimes I would like a little bit of extra space. When the bed's out, I can stay in bed and loll about, and Richard has nowhere here, and he tries to get me out of bed so that he can have more space, which I'm not keen to do.
Because we want to be able to go everywhere in our new van just the same way as we did with Nelson, we know that we are absolutely limited to a 6-metre van or less. It's 6 metres to be able to park in normal parking bays, and more importantly, a van that's over 6 metres would not fit round the back of our house, so we would not be able to keep the van at home, which is something that we absolutely need because it would still remain our daily drive.
And finally, with this being a potential 10-year project again to last us until we're 65, we also need to consider the fact that we might need extra space for little passengers. Who knows if grandkids will come on the horizon? And we have seen a couple of vans that might have a pop-top roof still, that might have a bed. Who knows?
All I know is that our kids are going to be horrified that we've put this out. So Georgia, Luke, I'm really sorry about that.
So when we went to the NEC, it was really exciting. There is just so much choice available to us, which we hadn't actually realised. We went looking for what I suppose is a big panel van conversion of some sort, whether it be on a Crafter size or a Fiat Ducato size vehicle. But Richard has almost had his mind changed a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even know that there was things like a slim motorhome. So we saw some lovely versions from Chausson and various other manufacturers that were below 6 metres and were quite narrow, but because of the box on the back, they felt quite roomy inside.
Yeah, we did really like them. There's just one thing that we can't decide on with that kind of van. I would still like a sliding door. I think it gives you much more space and makes the van feel more open, particularly if you're away in good weather. It just makes the van feel a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and I'm in absolute agreement of that. As you guys well know, we love sitting on the steps when the sun's setting and just taking life in, and we just think that we probably wouldn't get that from a slim motorhome style door. But on the flip side, having just come back from the Alps in winter, we do know that it would be much easier to keep that sort of van warm because the small door means it's better thermally insulated.
Richard's lying. Actually, in the motorhome, he really loved the huge boot that came with it. He could fit his bikes in it, he could fit his skis in it. It was huge. So it comes down to, did we want the size of the boot or did we want the small door or a sliding door?
It was a bit of a man cave and I did have a bit of a crush on it. So having seen that, and the other thing was it wasn't in white. Not that I've got any issues with white vans, but a grey slimline motorhome was pretty good looking. As Jackie said, there was so many vans to see at the NEC and they were all really similar and they were all really impressive. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to try and get below the skin of them because we want to use our van all year round and we want a fully winterized van. So we've just got to do a little bit more research on which are the best vans. From what we believe, German vans seem to be really well winterized vans, but it's something that we just don't know enough about, so we've got to do some research on that.
We hadn't realised until we went to the NEC what a wide variety of panel vans were used as the base for the campervan conversions, and actually the difference that that made to what was inside them. We actually decided we quite liked the Fiat Ducato style vans because they seem to be more square, so you seem to get more space in them.
Yeah, and it was a really good learning curve for us because I definitely went with a little bit of a desire for the Mercedes Sprinters, but when you actually see them in comparison to the Fiat Ducatos, not only are they way more expensive, but they do sort of taper in, so it causes issues with fitting as much furniture in. I think the Fiats felt a little bit more spacious.
They did, yes, and they did feel just that little bit cheaper as well, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and also fitting in the middle, there was the Crafters and the MAN based vans, and again, they have that sort of curved side issue, and again, probably just out of our price range because some of the prices were astronomical.
Yeah, don't get us wrong, we saw some conversions that I would buy in a heartbeat. They looked amazing. Some of the Sprinter conversions particularly, wow. But the £150,000 plus price tag that went with them, we just couldn't afford them anyway.
Something that was really good about going to the NEC was that you got to speak with the manufacturers directly, which was really interesting because when we've been to look at campervans at dealerships, quite often they are spec'd up quite highly, and we thought that the high spec and therefore the high price would have priced us out of a lot of vans. But when you look at the base price of vans, for instance, we're not actually that bothered about automatic transmission, and in a lot of conversions that's an added extra of £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, which is something that we could afford to do without.
And linked with that, one of the main reasons we went to the NEC to get some ideas is that if we did go through the configurators to design our own spec of the van through the manufacturers, it could take up to 18 months for us to actually get the van delivered. We just wanted to see what was out there. We may have to book a slot within the next maybe 9 months for the build of the van if we choose to go for a brand new one, and it was just really interesting to see what was out there. No big decisions have been made at this moment in time. We did actually really like 3 different vans though, so at least we've got ideas of what we may go for in the future.
Yeah, one of the first vans we liked was the Dreamer D55 Plus, which was a 6-metre van, but it just seemed to tick all the boxes for everything that we wanted, and it had got a really, really clever way of using the shower space as a wardrobe. I can't possibly explain that, but if you check it out online, it's just a beautiful piece of design that we sort of fell in love with in a way.
Yeah, and it had lots of space in it. Another Dreamer van that we saw that we absolutely loved, although we did have to go back and look at it twice, was the D43 Up. It was only 5.5 metres and it was like some sort of wizardry. It had a fixed bed in it, it had a shower and a toilet in it, it had a kitchen dinette area, and it also had a pop-top roof. So if we did have future grandchildren, there is 4 beds in this van.
One of the things that we really liked about comparing both of those vans physically side by side was that Dreamer do 2 specs. And interestingly, we like the cheaper spec. They do a fun range, which is really quite minimalistic. It's clean lines. It doesn't look as fancy or as glamorous as the Select line, but we actually quite like the fun line.
We did, yes.
And then the wild card in the mix for me was the Choson S514, and it's a slimline motorhome. It's based on a Ford, and it had got a really quite stylish front end, but it had then got this, it sounds hard to describe, but a beautiful grey box on the back. But as Jackie's already said, it had got an enormous garage. It was the best garage ever. It had got a fixed bed. It had got a really quite spacious bathroom, and it just felt a little bit more roomy than the panel van based camper vans.
Yeah, so we have started mulling over ideas of what we're going to be thinking about getting, but like we said, we've got 2 years until we actually pick up a new van. We don't even know if we're going to be able to afford to go for a brand new one at this moment in time, so just lots of ideas and lots of thoughts.
So that's it.
Yep, bye.
See you later.